In Super Mario RPG's remake, Mario takes off his hat upon winning a battle or achieving an important item or reaching a certain plot point. In the original Mario RPG, under these same conditions, he made the peace sign. Awe-inspiring. As if that amazing alteration wasn't enough, compared to the archaic 3 frame per second animations of curtains opening and closing, the remake now has much more realistic, free-flowing curtain physics. The most important innovation in gaming history. Remember those disgruntled farting sounds that Yoshi's made in the original on Yoster Isle? Well, let your ears rejoice at the inclusion of a single new Yoshi sound effect. Progress is grand. Capping off the esteemed originality of the remake, and in a fantastic display of tasteful censorship, Valentina's, assets feature no discernible amount of movement as compared to the original. Truly, a game for all ages now. Ignoring the fact that she's still drinking from a martini glass during the fight and is still 20 feet tall, despite being only slightly taller than Mario on the field map, isn't that excellent? We talk about carbon copies in various media, and it's rarely a positive attribute. Unfortunately, it's an apt description of the 2023 Nintendo RPG. The writing has next to no edits, the combat's still way too easy, and if you've played through the environments enough times on the SNES, you could literally get through this game blindfolded. It's such a blatant recreation. Before we raise our pitchforks and torches though, there's new team attacks amongst other battle system changes, a glorious presentation, and a few other perks for players to enjoy. Does this game have enough redeeming qualities for me to recommend it to returning players? Let's investigate all the hits and misses of Super Mario RPG's remake right here at Gaming Introspection. There is something to be said for keeping certain elements of the original when it comes to designing the graphics of a remade game. In Super Mario RPG's case, this is done through a very specific recreation of the 3/4 angle view, or quasi-3D mode found in the SNES original. In '96, these visuals were top tier on a 16-bit system. It was close to 3D, but not at the same time. The colors were deep, diverse, and saturated, and every element showed off exquisite details. The remade version doesn't tinker with the viewing angle, nor does it adjust the design of buildings or characters. Instead, it's all re-energized with an HD sheen that takes everything and pumps up the contrast, details, and prominence. You've got reflections on shiny, polished surfaces befitting the spectacle of Booster Tower, an actual luxurious look and color design matching the Marrymore Suite that was lacking in the original. There's some nice touches all around. In areas with some verticality, like Moleville and Land's End, you can see colorful new backgrounds in the distance, which grant the world more cohesiveness and depth. You climb the heights of Nimbus Land and stare bewildered at all the puffs of clouds, which honestly looks weird because there's all these creepy, happy-faced clouds joining in with the more realistic cotton puffs. But it still looks awesome. There's a couple exceptions where the graphics are completely redone, like the janky Mode 7 minecart race being replaced with a fully 3D field. Honestly, I like the original look and feel better here. It had more pace and urgency before, as the rotation effects abruptly shifted to and fro. You can spend so much time on the track in this remake. Slowing down requires a lot more forethought and timing, as even going half speed results in groan-filled moments while you wait for Mario to magically leap off the track, rotate in a circle, before again leaping with a heavy iron cart back onto the track for unclear reasons. Back to focus, gorgeous color palettes and elemental effects are strewn throughout the environments as you progress. Plants and mushrooms in the forest maze give off beautiful glowing pyres. Fire effects are particularly well done when venturing into magma areas, with wonderful lava animation and bold, rich colors that make the heat almost emanate from the screen. Subtle wind effects on foliage, the mesmerizing sparkle and motion of water areas, even the tide coming in and out at Seaside Town complete the natural yet cartoony style that was already strong in the SNES release. The beautiful blend of purples, blues, and greens in Star Hill are bolstered with a graphic engine that makes each crater, each rise and fall of the area interesting and spellbinding to look at. There's a natural beauty to Mario RPG's first adventure, and now it looks pretty much like what we'd only dreamed of decades ago. Of course, the added cinematic scenes truly make the retained midget, or squashed, character models come to life in delightful snippets of gorgeous animation. Each one of these clocks in at 20 seconds at the most, and there's not a lot of them, but there's so much to love about each. Seeing Mallow's pathetic jump attempt to catch Croco makes you feel for the character instantly. Geno gets to enjoy tons of splendor, especially in his introductory cutscene that has so much atmosphere and fan service that there is bound to be smiles worldwide. Bowser's animation is on point throughout. Crashing through Booster Tower's door is certainly a lot more fun to look at compared to the original, giving that nostalgic moment an extra boost. Speaking of the Bowser booster dynamic, they even redid each of the possible outcomes for Peach's wedding gear minigame, which results in Mario being assaulted by lips of various characters, including Peach if you do it in an insanely quick time. Seriously, this took me a lot of tries, so much so that I thought it was cut from the game. If you want to see your favorites in this generously animated style past the plot, just charge up that party meter in the battle screen and unleash those triple tech attacks, which are even more lovingly crafted. There's an option to skip them, but I'm guessing many of us didn't, even after multiple viewings. It's extremely well done. When we discuss video game soundtracks, Yoko Shimomura should not need an introduction by this point. Have you played Kingdom Hearts? Yep, her music. Final Fantasy 15? Ever hear of Street Fighter 2? She's got music credits for that as well. She's one of the best. Super Mario RPG ranks right up there as one of her most acclaimed works, and the redone musical versions cement this music in the legendary tier in my book. Every single one of the 61 tracks, except Smithy's Factory for some bizarre reason, is completely remastered with modern technology, not remixed, which I think is for the best, as it's preserved but enhanced. How can you not get excited to explore when you hear this? Even the world map has a rich, wondrous quality to it. And the one-time set pieces, like Dodo's Coming, are given a wonderful boost in quality that creates even more appreciation for the synchronization of instrumentation and player input. My favorite is not one I can even talk about yet because it involves content that belongs in a different section. But I'm guessing most of you hardcore fans have the same vote and can guess what it is. Just show some patience, gamers. Now, are all the new orchestral themes better? Not quite. Booster's theme originally had a sterner, more intense and forward-moving composition. Whereas here, it's still good, but a bit slower, less free-flowing. Luckily, the option to change the music back to the Super Nintendo version is just a couple of menu clicks away. Alright, now I feel back into the Mario RPG mode. Until you forget to change it back, then you wander around, run into an enemy, and you have to endure that god-awful, repetitive, droning battle music again! There's other instances of this happening too, like in the Nimbus Castle, where that repetitive, horrifying laughter makes me want to puke. So I switch it, wander for a bit, and then... Why am I cursed to endure this tune? But I have great news. They actually remixed the battle music in the remake. It's insane! It's almost like my own criticisms and opinions of that music have finally been validated. Don't get me wrong, it's still very similar, but it's not just a 20-second continuous loop of the same awful notes and beats. The main instruments aren't as overpowering as the originals, so despite the melody functionally being very similar, it's not nearly as grating to listen to those first few notes every few seconds. Just please, compare the two. Thank God! The pitch changes every time it loops. Extra xylophone-like instruments come in. And there's actually some changes in the percussion and the sequencing of the melody if the battle becomes extended. The proof is right here, and it's awesome. And I can't be the only one who complained, because as far as I can tell, it's the only song in the entire game which actually has the composition tinkered with and altered once it goes past the first loop. That is not a coincidence. The one gripe I have with the audio department is that there's no voice acting in the least, unless you count and ugh. Not even standard wahoos or let's go from Mario. I know it's keeping with the original, and purists may like it this way, but reading text only, especially in the awesome cutscenes, is such a technological clash that really doesn't jive well. And this will be especially true with modern players experiencing this for the first time. Overall though, Mario RPG's world is saturated with character creations, environments, and an engaging, fun mood that, without even trying, forge the player ahead with excitement. Are the graphics phenomenal? No, they're not anything amazing, even by Switch standards. But the decisions made to preserve the aura of the original while still appealing to Nintendo's younger demographic, combined with a truly peerless soundtrack, does wonders for Mario RPG Remake's value. The presentation is sure to please both younger and more veteran fans of Mario RPG, simply because it's faithful, yet improved. There's tons of different combat systems in RPGs, evolving into so many different manifestations over time. You've got active time battle bar versions, which require player decisions quickly, like Chrono Trigger, tactical and thinking-based systems like the Persona series that emphasize strategy, and hybrids like the Final Fantasy VII Remake system, which combines slower decision-making with real-time sword-swinging action. Super Mario RPG Remake employs a fairly traditional turn-based battle system with some action elements. It's essentially the same setup as the 1996 game, wherein amidst all the animations, you're required to tap the button at the right time to reduce or completely mitigate all damage, as well as execute timed attacks, which basically means voluntarily letting your party perform a critical hit with every single punch, umbrella, gun, or Mario throw. Isn't that the best idea for a weapon ever in a game? Where the hell did that even come from? It's what the? Come here! Yeah, fat little plumber. Yeah! There. That'll show him. Yeah! The in-game description lists the Hurley Glove as a classic Mario-style toss attack, but I don't ever remember an old Nintendo game where Bowser picks up Mario and hurls him into anything, unless you count Super Smash Bros., a game that didn't exist when the original came out, which had this exact same weapon. Someone please tell me what this weapon's all about? Anyway, when you hit with good timing, you not only double the damage, but it echoes damage across the enemy ranks. This combines with a handy almost down notification that pops up when enemies are low on HP. You can target an enemy with higher health, knowing that the shockwave from your attack will likely eliminate the beaten up one, which gives the system a bit more strategy than before. The original was way too generous with the timing windows for most attacks, with a slow enough pace that meant you could pretty much do your attacks and defense timings 100% of the time. It was so bad that even the final boss would do 0 damage if you were accurate enough. I will say that the pace of the remake is about 10% faster. Here's the proof, and there is a slight adjustment period. In addition to the trickier timings, there's actually some foes that hit hard with attacks, including some unblockable ones. It was actually refreshing to see me actually have to deal with consequences when the party gets pelted with bludgeoning attacks. I actually had to use pick-me-ups the odd time. What's more, any random battle has a chance to include a special enemy, which has about triple the HP and twice the power of its regular brethren. So you have to make that foe a priority. But in exchange, you get extra experience and a rare frog coin drop for beating them. Something new, however small, is very welcoming to see. This challenge extends to the status system too. The remake is not shy about putting to sleep, scaring, or transforming our favorite plumber and his friends into mushrooms or scarecrows. Most of these are unblockable without the right equipment, and even perfectly timing certain attacks won't prevent fear or poison afflictions. Specialized attacks hit hard. It's nice to know that your defense timing actually does matter, especially against some boss attacks. There's even an actual difficulty setting picked from the title, which can also be adjusted later, that prohibits players from carrying an extra generous amount of healing or status improving items. For example, only 10 of each healing item and 6 magic/revival items can be carried at any one time. Honestly, this doesn't do much, because you can still collect an infinite amount of things. They just magically go into a storage box at Mario's house for future use if you actually happen to run low. What is this? Mario Resident Evil Remake? In addition, the original game had an absolutely awful inventory system. Literally one of the worst I can remember. These 2 screens of text represent the total amount of collectibles you can carry. It amounts to, what? 30 items? Total, maybe? You constantly had to toss away items as you collected them. So I'm glad Nintendo recognized how faulty it was and made it more user-friendly. Speaking of user-friendliness, it's cool to just press a button to use an item or healing power on the field, and it saves menu screen bullcrap. Another thing that makes frequent random battles still engaging is the carryover of your timing chains. Once you perform 5 consecutive timed attacks or defenses in a row, your buffs for attack, defense, and even the percentage increase of your party gauge build up a bit more. The additional bonuses kick in when you start subsequent battles, and they stick with you as long as you can maintain your chain of attacks. So even in an area with frequent encounters, you're motivated to keep the momentum going, especially if you're nearing the end of a dungeon and there's a boss waiting. You'll have a 100% party meter ready to go and buffs at the ready. Speaking of that teamwork meter, or whatever the game calls it, that's definitely a new wrinkle that wasn't present in the old games. They're basically triple techs from Chrono Trigger, where all 3 combine their skills into a visual spectacle set piece. Thankfully, there's tons of variety in the many different combinations. You've got your standard kill storm attacks, like Bowser, Mallow, and Mario's clown car, where elemental death rains down from the sky. But there's wrinkles that make others more than just damage dealers. Geno, Bowser, and Mario's randomly hits enemies and ends with a triple Geno boost, which old players remember from the old games, buffing attack and defense. Mallow, Peach, and Mario's healing rainbow is an omni-heal spell that even revives downed allies, while Mario, Geno, and Peach create an invincibility shield that can be a godsend against some of the toughest challenges in the game, especially the post-game content, like the rematch with Jinx and his insta-kill attacks. And what other game is there where you can see Peach, Mario, and Bowser combining their talents in a supremely awesome Bowser invincible pinball attack?
None. Not even the original game has this. And the Mario universe is better for it. Seeing these eternally bound trio of characters team up is glorious.
Maybe because of the slightly increased difficulty, there's an entirely new party switch feature which resembles Final Fantasy X's, where any character can instantaneously be swapped with another and act immediately. It's nice to not be shackled to your 3-person team, especially if you aren't familiar with the big boss and you find out the 3 people you picked to start don't match up well against it. But it helps a bit too much sometimes, which we'll talk about later. For this segment though, I can say it broadens the options quite a bit. You can mix and match. For example, bringing Geno in to boost a party member and then getting him out of there to make sure his fragile defenses aren't taken advantage of.
With the ability to attack multiple foes at once, and the party-based team attacks, there's more decisions to make and more variables to consider, added on to what was once one of the most basic of basic combat systems in RPG history. So, I mean, this is a good start, right? It's got the look and sound to appeal to everyone, including old-time fans, and the battle system is unquestionably deeper and full-fledged. So why do the hits end here already? Because there is a lot wrong with this game. Because there is a lot wrong with this game. There is a lot wrong with this game. Boring, right? I agree. Writing a video game script isn't easy, at least not the first time you draft it. You have to make sure that all the words make sense and flow well, and especially when writing for well-known Nintendo characters, you want dialogue that reflects their moods and personalities.
The SNES game was wonderful at attributing hilarious, multifaceted character moments into the core cast. The Frog Sage adheres to the wise old man standard, as many games do, but he also wants to create a spectacle of awe and power, which is way above what he's actually capable of, chastising the Lakitu for ruining his image. Speaking of ego, Bowser's narcissism is given tons of moments to shine. He can't possibly admit to, well, anything, and so he conjures up all kinds of bizarre stories to cover up the fact that he actually needs help. False narrative to the max. The best example of it is seen upon arriving at Boosters, and before noticing Mario, Bowser nostalgically reflects on past escapades with tears flowing, before getting absolutely shocked when Mario suddenly is seen and he's panicking to redeem himself, which, again, fails. These moments are literally laugh-out-loud funny the first time someone sees them, and even adults respond positively to such endearing script work. Geno represents the straight man of the group, and that contrasts so well with the outlandish personalities of the Mushroom Kingdom world that simply hearing him lamenting the mispronunciation of Star Road by many different characters earns a chuckle. Random characters get traumatized and overreact to everything, which makes the comedic tone of the game just that much better.
So, here's my question. Why couldn't Nintendo's writers alter the script in subtle, effective ways, when all of the tough work, which was crafting personalities and the content of the conversations, was already done for them?
Almost nothing is altered here. You know when people exaggerate and they say things like 99% of this is good or bad or whatever? Well, there's no exaggeration here. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that 99% of the script in Mario RPG is copied and pasted from the original. 99%! Whether it's regular townspeople making the same jokes, kids in wedding parties that struggle not to piss themselves, party members who describe their name with identical symbols because no one can pronounce it, villains who threaten Mario to get going while the getting is good after being defeated. There's been no expansion on motives, character traits, backgrounds, or personalities, because hey, that would be hard. That leaves no surprise for veteran players who want to see someone like Booster have a different rant about Peach falling from the sky and crying, "Mario, help me, Mario, help me, Mario, help me!" Yeah, for sure, that's funny. But do something with it. Put your own spin on it. At least show Peach doing that while she's stranded on the rooftop. That would be funny. Followed by a humorous discussion between Booster and his minions about what they should do about this information. "My new bride is nonsensical. I can't understand her needs or wants." "Oh, that's why she's perfect for you, Booster, sir." "Oh, right. I don't make sense. Then neither is there a need for her to. Brilliant!" When Bowser rants about how he has an image to maintain when he's organizing his troops, infuse some different jokes. He talks about being kicked out of his castle and his ruined reputation.
Okay, so you could have him say something like,
"I always laughed when Mario's princess was actually in another castle. Now I'm kicked out of my own castle."
Is that great? Not at all! But that's just me making stuff up on the spot! They had 27 years to rewrite this and make it better!
When Peach admonishes Mario for creeping in her bedroom, might as well go all out. Have her slap him or something. Have her cry out in horror at exactly what it was that he found. Be it a diary, undergarments, or whatever. Come on, slap him harder! That creepy plumber bastard. He looked through your drawers. Or at your drawers. I have no idea. You teased this in the original and did nothing. But hey, I'm sure doing nothing will really go over well with the longtime fans. Yeah. Change the wishes at least at Star Hill. You could reference any other NPC in the game, but you still just feature the same old things about the chef who wants to be amazing, Raz and Rainy wanting to start a family. Even Luigi's quote is almost the same. Oh, don't get me started. Oh, stay tuned for Luigi fans. Oh, we have to talk about Luigi later. Oh my god. Even Bowser's haiku towards the endgame is exactly the same when he laments being ignored. It's so hilarious to see his poetic side showcased. I wanted another great lyrical composition, but I guess there's no other 5-7-5 syllable combinations in the history of words to illustrate Bowser's feelings. For frick's sake, it should have been "Loyal fans be damned."
money will always prevail in Nintendo's minds. Haiku.
There is an exception, and I'm grateful for it. Nintendo kept the psychopath move in. Well, here it's called Thought Peak, which is just stupid. I'm gonna keep calling it psychopath because it's just hilariously over the top and just sounds better. But anyway, this move reveals the hidden thoughts of enemies, and Nintendo actually went and redid a majority of these.
It's still worth using on every enemy, just to see what kind of crazy lines these characters will spew out. The Chained Kong's psychopath was awesome in the 16-bit classic, and it's even better here. Banally listing some copyright jargon about the originality of characters, other enemies encourage adults to let loose and randomly taste things, even though it's a safe bet that not all the players who see this are adults, but still unexpected and funny. You've got spiders lying about how venomous they are, plants that pump themselves up before battle, coyotes that are just enamored with fighting Mario, Megazord ripoffs that wonder why the Rangers don't use its ultimate attack beam until the battle's almost over, and chomps that are just attention-starved. You also have some refreshingly deep, contemplative musings from wooden creations that debate the meaning of life, which is similar to the original, but differentiated. The weapon director goes on about his union work and his son's entrance exams. One highlight is Valentina's, which is very unexpected and cryptic. He's a small man who puts on a big front. Is this a pun directed at a certain character? Or some haunted past memory or daddy issue? Regardless, very intriguing. Not all are changed. For example, the Sniffets still complain about making not nearly enough money. Croco still inner monologues about how good he is. But I'd say well over 50% of the enemies have new thoughts, some of which are genuinely surprising, which you can check in on in the handy organized scrapbook. Which brings me to my other gripe. The only other place where you'll find some new text, which isn't even dialogue between characters, is in that new scrapbook, which archives every single enemy encounter in the game, complete with a solid paragraph of awesome accounts and insights.
This infuriates me the most, because ironically, a lot of what's written here is amazing. They crammed the most interesting, thought-provoking, and humorous descriptions in the entire game into an afterthought photo album that some gamers won't ever even open. Once!
You've got hilarious comments about how one ant enemy is jealous of another ant enemy because Shogun is a cooler sounding name. You've got awesome biographies of each of the lame but awesome Axum Ranger enemies, jokes about how Mario wouldn't get the reference of how the Exor sword is derived from the ancient Excalibur legend, since Mario's world doesn't have swords in it. It's not all just jokes and funny stuff. They included a lot of tidbits about fan-favorite characters you won't find anywhere else, such as Dodo being hatched in front of Valentina, forming a pseudo-mother-son attachment bond that explains his honestly sad, tragic existence, in which he bears all of that verbal and physical abuse from Valentina, not able to dismiss her, as she's the closest mother figure he's got. Searching Booster's page shows that he was the one who sold this Mushroom Kingdom kid his old Game Boy that you can buy yourself and play as an amusing diversion. And it makes sense with his bizarre, entertainment-obsessed personality.
There's literary gold here, and hardly anyone will ever see it. Why did they put this all here in a forgotten menu tab? Nintendo just doesn't get it.
There's very rare re-edits, like how Bowser and Peach have an additional conversation after saving the seaside town elder. A very rare brand new party convo, which can be found at Vista Hill, where the crew discusses the gravity of the situation, instead of just hopelessly staring at Bowser's Keep, which does happen every subsequent time. What's more impressive, and also kind of infuriating, is that upon giving that old gardener the seed and fertilizer, his rapid-fire rant on how excited he is was completely rewritten. And it's actually even more funny this time. So there was potential for some refreshing takes on some quality script work. This is well done. But alas, these are pretty much the only examples I could find.
I'm a huge nerd, so likely the lack of writing pizzazz isn't nearly as big of a deal as I'm making it. I'm just a huge RPG fan who really enjoys thoughtful scripture in the game text. RPGs are text-heavy, even today. And with most of this burned into my memory already, it would have been nice to have something different. This is exciting. It's Star Hill, one of the most visually updated and spectacular looking areas in Super Mario RPG Remake. There hasn't been much for new content yet, but look at the remastered graphics! I'm feeling it. The hopes I had months ago for more challenge in this game are gonna be confirmed. There's gonna be some mega, huge star, or a hill, maybe a hill with eyes, for me to fight before I pick up that star, instead of it just hanging out like a wrapper thrown out of a car window. All right, here we go. Let's enjoy this battle together. They did nothing? They did nothing. There's bound to be lazy moments in any remake. But this?
This epitomizes both the cloning mindset Nintendo had and the remarkable inability of the developers to make this game just a little bit challenging now and then.
That cheap evil star and sound effect I made in the Hopes and Worries video? Even that was more of an effort than Nintendo made.
They couldn't even put one extra boss to guard this star? Nothing? Holy hell, that's pathetic.
I just wanted Mario RPG Remake to be challenging when it hit. You can see it all in my Hopes and Worries video. And at the outset, I was very encouraged. The game even has a difficulty setting. Damn! Nintendo's not messing around.
I'll have to really pile on timed attacks because enemies will probably have a lot more defense or hit points.
Oh, bad timing. Now I'm in for it. Oh, it still died. Well, I guess I was wrong there.
But one thing is for sure, I won't be blocking enemy attacks to the tune of 0 damage like I was able to do in the original all the way up to the final boss. I mean, that was so pathetically awful, it was funny.
Oh, God! Block, 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 block. How fun is that? 0, 0, 0 damage, 0, 0, 0 damage. Block. They didn't do anything. They did nothing. Perfect block, perfect block.
Once you adjust to the slightly faster pace, you'll find that the timing windows are still the same. You still bring your afflicted damage down to minuscule or 0 levels with practice, and the enemies all still die in 1 or 2 hits max. Not only that, some foes have tons of weaknesses. Look at this one. Weakness to fire, lightning, fear, sleep, poison, and mute. So basically, just toss anything at it and it will die. Because of how 99% of everything is copied and pasted, including every single weapon outside of the post-game content, anyone who's played through the original knows precisely when they need to tap to get the double damage. And because even the attacks and animations of those attacks are also cloned, players can just as easily defend too. There's no differences. I haven't had any new attacks thrown at me in 20 hours. Even status effect spells like Lullaby or the mushroom spore statuses are done in the exact same fashion. Enemies are in the exact same locations as the original and follow the exact same paths in exactly same amount of numbers. If you knew how to avoid things in the first game, there's nothing to challenge you or surprise you here. They even have that same reanimating dry bones enemy in Johnny's ship that you can thunderbolt a million times over to level up quickly, over and over and over again. You know what else? They even kept the level up system from the original. And by kept, I mean they literally copied the source code for the statistics, level up bonuses, experience points, levels that characters learn new moves, everything. There's no changes, none whatsoever. Every single stat increase is exactly the same. Damage output, weapon power, spell power, the bonuses that you can choose where one is obviously better than the other, everything.
There's no new moves. No, not for anyone.
You know how in the old game, Geno had just 5 moves and Bowser only 4, compared to the 6 everyone else got? That's still the case here. Alright, sure, let's keep everything unbalanced like that.
They couldn't think of 3 new techniques in the last quarter century?
The flower points required are also identical. And the uselessness of some spells follow suit. Why in flipping hell would you spend 12 flower points to use Bowser's Crusher Stalagmite, which looks like a spiky turd jutting up from Toilet World that barely does 100 damage? His basic starter spells attack all enemies and often scare or poison them for less magic costs and more damage. Speaking of status effect attacks, Peach can just render every enemy helpless by putting them to sleep. Look at how long it lasts, too. And you'd think your echoing wave-timed attacks that spread across the screen would wake sleeping enemies up, but nope. She's also still capable of muting the same bosses from the original, so they can't do squat.
What else did they not fix in the remake? Geno Whirl, maybe?
Let's see if that's been altered to be trickier or less game-breaking. Remember the 9,999 damage nonsense from olden times? Surely to God, they didn't make that game-breaking mistake. I'm sure they just have a critical hit timing window that maybe doubles the damage this time.
Strategy? What's that? Just walk that line. Do 9999. Use it every time. Things will be fine. Let the goddamn sun shine! Oh my god.
Want more easy hand-holding? Behold, switch out your characters whenever you want. Toxins getting you agitated? Switch the character out. Did you become a mushroom and can't act? Oh, just switch out! Did your party get one hit KO'd all at once? No problem! Just bring in the reinforcements! You don't have to wait either. You just act right away. My god, even the more challenging post-game content has no answers for how insanely easy it is to exploit this combat system. This is especially easy to take advantage of once Peach joins the party. There's some legitimately fearful attacks that can put the whole party asleep, or afraid, or expose them to tons of extra damage. In the original, you had to suffer through it until you either recovered or died. But Peach's group hug ability heals all status effects, so you just keep her on the backup squad, and when she's needed, you swap her in, and the whole situation is taken care of with her healing magic.
Besides the lack of any extra attacks for either characters or enemies, no tougher timing windows, a dearth of new bosses, the ability to switch out incapacitated characters, there's also game-breaking glitches that weren't fixed from the original that also diminish the challenge.
Items are crucial to several battles, and you can abuse them just as much as in the old game. Remember freebies?
I'm actually getting my ass kicked. Oh, I gotta use my last precious full recovery, the Caro Cola. It hurts to part with it, but it must be done.
What?
Freebie? I got a freebie?
The message pops up, and you actually didn't use the item. Well, in true Nintendo fashion, you'll get freebies up the ass in this game. Did you just use a full heal? Oh, you know, freebie! Use a powerful rock candy attack to demolish all the enemies for free? Oh, well, that was just kind of a bad toss, so freebie! Final boss? Say it with me now. Freebie!
The game treats players as if they can't manage anything to save their lives. It's like a parent constantly rushing in to clean up the kids' messes. And sure, maybe we were 8 years old when we first played this game. Now we're all 35 and getting second chances for days.
So, remember in Mario RPG when you could just kill random ghosts for pure waters? Each time you find one, you can sell it for 75 coins. And the enemies you need to vanquish to farm them are pathetic, low-level boos and skeleton monsters. You can go there at any time. And actually, these undead enemies appear in other locations like Johnny's ship. Even 15 minutes of grinding gives you coinage like never before. Except it's even more exploitable here, because the limit for coins is now 9,999 instead of just 999. So you could literally spend 1 hour harvesting pure waters and then buy anything in the game without ever needing money again. Why does the Koopa put that unlimited coin box in Bowser's Keep? What a slow-ass, lame, awful way to get coins. Oh my god, it's embarrassing. Just wow. They had 27 years to fix this! Why did they not stop and think, whoa, 75 coins for a common loot item? Yeah, it's probably too generous. Just look at this. You need to buy a new shirt. It costs 7 coins. You can sell 1 tiny bottle of water, and you've got enough money for 10 shirts. It makes already weird abstract diversions like the Beetle Quest minigame absolutely worthless. You have to pay 50 coins to rent a beetle box, then you spend 3 minutes getting your ass bowled over by barrels and sniffets as you desperately try to catch beetles, most of which are worth 1 coin.
I caught 4 beetles and ended up with a net loss of negative 46 coins. Jesus Murphy.
Who the hell would do this? What's the point?
It doesn't stop there. Lucky flowers that you can use to double your XP or loot occur more often than the old game, and the Yoshi egg spin minigame to get that bonus is laughably easy. Here, I'll pause it. Which one is the Yoshi in? Yeah, you got it right. I know you did. A preschooler could track Yoshi and choose the right egg almost 100% of the time. In the old game, the spinning was so rapid it was literally a crapshoot which one he was in. Here, once you get the lucky jewel, you can summon Lucky whenever you want and double everything, every single battle. Not to mention the fact that you can routinely earn frog coins from regular battles thanks to those special enemies, instead of a rare amount of hidden ones throughout the world, means it's even easier to get items like the experience booster and flower ring that cut your magic costs in half. My God!
There's one small shred of hope. The shiny stone door. The door that encases the secret boss of Mario RPG that was teased in the trailer so maliciously. It has to be different. No one knows what's lurking behind it anymore. I'm hoping it's Sephiroth. I really, really, really hope it's Sephiroth. Nintendo won't let me down. They always pull through in the end. Oh my God! They didn't. They kept Culex here? For God's sakes! There's been how many viable Square Enix villains that could have been included here? And they went back to Culex? He doesn't even look any different! They didn't even make him 3D? Or even update his sprite? What?
And they cover it up by giving him a 2D world origin story. His motivation is to achieve 3D-ness? This is a new low by any standard. The one time Nintendo rewrote the dialogue, and it was only to make an excuse for not rendering Culex in 3D. I've never seen such sloth. Oh well, the soundtrack is so amazing. At least I'll get to hear that awesome combat theme with a fresh set of instruments.
Oh, what? Oh.
Yes, I have beaten the game fully. I know Culex manifests his evil energy to create a 3D version of himself, and damn, it is awesome. It was a great tease in retrospect, with the developers almost trolling the fanbase by doing, well, this, and forcing players to 100% the game in order to find this. That orchestral rendition of the Culex fight is one of the greatest things that's ever existed in the history of gaming. I'm not so heartless to not compliment Nintendo on this, even though the solution and strategy for beating him is still cloned, and again, his mere presence is still cloning to the max.
There's so much laziness, just saturating Mario RPG's remake. The writing is almost completely cloned, same thing with the environments, but the cloned battles, which are even easier now with all these new elements, that takes the cake. It's brutal.
I shudder when I think about playing this game on the easy mode. Yeah, everything I complained about, it was all while playing the challenging difficulty. You want a harder difficulty? How about disabling free items? How about not healing everything after every single boss battle? How about making timed blocks, even perfect ones, unable to block all the damage? Or at the very least, prevent the player from perfect blocking attacks while asleep? What kind of super spider sickening sense does the party have that lets them block attacks while sleeping? Speaking of timed hits, if you choose that harder difficulty, put in a variable that makes the windows much tighter to force the player to get better lest they get their ass kicked.
So many things could have been done, but alas, Nintendo went for the easiest scenario possible instead. If you've ever been away from your hometown or any fond location from previous years, and then you go and revisit it, you initially feel a big burst of good vibes flowing through you.
Your memories of that place become stronger upon your return, and often you wish you could relive some moments that have a special place in your heart. But after a while, that feeling fades, because as you drive around or walk, you realize everything's mostly the same. There's nothing new to explore. It may look slightly different, but the roads, the prominent buildings, mostly all still there. You're still happy that you came back for the visit, but there's nothing especially jaw-dropping that makes you want to stay there permanently.
This is Mario RPG's Remake world. Nothing has changed. Even less than that real-life scenario that I just described.
The world map has precisely the same locations. While you'd expect this similarity to be prominent in the first few hours of the game, part of your naive heart was probably sending hope to you that there'll be new little excursions that you can take. Maybe some extra hidden islands in that vast blue ocean that seems to surround this version of Mario World, making it an oversized island. There's lots of potential and space. How about here? Here, over here, make a Shy Guy Says Island or something, where you have to press A and B correctly. It'd be a lot better minigame than Look the Other Way, which is an absolute embarrassment.
Wow. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to participate in such a ridiculous game in real life? Hey, why don't you and I try together? On my signal, you try to look in the opposite direction as me. Ready? And look the other way! You won! Or you lost. Regardless, I doubt you feel too accomplished. And neither do I. All we did was hyperextend our necks with an abrupt twisting motion. That was goddamn fun, wasn't it?
Make a sunset desert world in which thwomps are blocking the path, and you have to manage water and resources. The original Mario RPG, great as it was, doesn't have an ice world, a desert world, barely any of the standouts that populate Mario's other adventures. It's honestly all quite the same. It's just a calm, temperate climate with the exact same vegetation surrounding the whole territory until you go upwards and get to Nimbus Land or the volcano. When you zoom in closer and enter any field map section, you'll quickly get demoralized when you realize how nothing has been added, moved around, or updated. The town layouts are identical. The amount of townspeople and everything they say is still the same. Even the hidden blocks are found in all the same places. I mean, my God, I found 33 out of 39 of them simply by memory. Even that one chance only frog coin box that you get by standing on the Toad's head when he runs into the Chancellor's room and jumping is still there. Now, that one is a cool find and something that definitely should retain its place. Don't get me wrong, there are some benefits to this. After all, you're able to find visually updated cameos of Link and Samus in the exact same locations, where gamers undoubtedly were hoping to find them upon replaying this classic.
But come on! Live a little! Would it be that much of a sacrilege to alter things just a little bit?
Spell effects like Mallow's Snowman and Geno's exploding Geno Flash Star look pretty much copied and pasted. Couldn't they have done a bit more to accentuate their power and flashiness? Oddly, you use an item like a fire or ice bomb, and it looks and sounds amazing. Why aren't characters' signature powers given this much attention? Even the most subtle of animations and graphics, like the amount of Bowser's troops in both games, and the minuscule glowing effect that the Goomba makes, they're mirrored back with 100% accuracy. Every little animation you can think of, like Mallow and Mario reacting to Geno's tale about the Star Road. The entrance and exit protrusions are still there. Also, the development team kept that same 3/4 view angle, which is nice in terms of preserving the style, but they went even farther. This isn't even a 3D world. Though everything's rendered in 3D, Mario still traverses in that same 8-way directional track. It just doesn't register as much because of the fancy 3D HD sheen everything has.
You go anywhere and everywhere, checking out any minute detail or crevice, hoping to find some differences, and you just end up walking away disappointed.
There's a section in the Haunted Ghost Ship that contains clues that you obtain by completing certain challenges. Maybe that whole puzzle was reworked. That thing was kind of awesome, actually. Well, not only are those challenges exactly the same, the hints and the puzzle solution are also the same. If it wasn't for my purpose of proof and collecting data for this video, I could literally have ran through the entire ship dungeon, entered that same pearls password, and been done with it.
Oh my god, this is just so easy. I mean, come on, how difficult is it to change the hints at least? I mean, they could change the hints and the letters and keep the challenges the same. But they didn't even do that! It's just rehashed.
Let's do it. You and I, we could easily come up with a 6-letter word that has something to do with this environment and its inhabitants. Okay, what's something you can find around here? Okay, pirate. Let's do that. So, pirate hint number 1. The answer is something that's feared by many. Hint number 2, well, it has 3 vowels equally spaced from each other. Hint 3, letters 3, 4, and 5 spell out an enemy on this ship. Yeah, see, that's actually kind of clever, I thought. Hint 4, the first 2 letters sound like a tasty treat. Get it? You know, pie? Hint 5, the last 3 letters are a number. Yeah, 8. Yeah, and hint 6, this ship has some on it. See? Done.
There! Was that so tough? I literally wrote that in 10 minutes. Is it great? No, but at least it's different. It makes the player think a little bit instead of cruising through the game on autopilot the whole goddamn time.
Side quests are still done in the exact same way. Looking for the Frog Sage's cricket jam? It's still located in the Karo sewers in that exact same chest, which you get by jumping into the very same gas cloud at Land's End, which goes through the same enemies and path. Mario goes to Monster Town and gets visited by those same 3 ghosts who hide invisible flags in 3 locations around the world with vague descriptions on where to find them. This was tough in the old game because old wooden flour isn't something that players would have paid attention to on their way through. But after playing the original, you remember that it's just found right behind the Rosetown flower. Same as the flag between O and A, the goal sign in Yoshi's Island. That was probably the most cryptic hint in the original. Well, now it's just the most boring fetch quest ever, and it's over in 10 seconds. There's what, at least 30-something separate areas that you could access, and tons of cryptic hints that you could have given across this entire world. How about I hid my flag in a house with dynamite, prompting you to go to Moleville and visit the house that has the mole children, Dinah and Mite, in it. The second ghost could say, I hid my flag in the most uncomfortable bed in the world. You then go to that crate box bed in the volcano. And for the third, it might go, I hid my flag in a closet of royalty. Because you might as well get something for snooping in Peach's room. I mean, you still don't find out exactly what Mario actually finds when Peach goes ballistic on him for the second time in 27 years. Secret weapons? Same thing. There's that same masher hammer from dropping on a seesaw. There's the chomp Bowser rescues from Booster's family portrait puzzle, complete with the same Mario turn over there for a second, and then the screen cuts to black, and then it cuts back, and then there's the same animation, and Bowser's happy. Legendary weapons and armor? Same damn thing. Like the 2 lazy shells? You guessed it. Fertilizer and seed are found in the exact same places. You go to the same old man in the same damn Rose Town, and there you go. Another 30 seconds to find ultimate weapons. Real tough challenge there. I must say though, I was surprised at how Nintendo redid the old man's hilarious rant to make it even better, which I discussed in the writing portion of the game. Just makes me mad though that they couldn't have redid more of these, because clearly there's potential buried within this multiply menagerie of sameness. Todovsky, the composer, still has 3 segments of music he wants to piece together to make his full orchestral riff, and the 3 segments are all completely exactly the same, found in identical areas, and amount to the same tune. I'm not too tough on this one because it is a good melody, so you wouldn't want to change it too much, and remixing the ending to your own tastes is still a great reward for finishing it, especially when you can hear it with modernized orchestra quality sounds. Still, it's another instance of no alterations. Even the most cryptic of cryptic secrets, like the Great Guy's Casino, is found in the exact same place by jumping 3 times at that same location in Bean Valley, and the card you need to get is acquired by guessing the yellow ball from Knife Guy enough times, who's positioned on the same square and floor in Booster's tower. You have to guess the right hand that the yellow ball's in the right number of times, and then you finally get this bright card that gets you into the casino. You get 2 of the same minigames that are useless, with bogus rewards that don't outclass anything you've already acquired. There actually is one new minigame here, but it's a stupid memorization card flip game, where you get a few seconds to remember which character cards are where, and then you guess them easily and win small syrup or mushroom items. Whoopity friggin' do. And calling this a new minigame is stretching it. It's still stealing it from Mario Bros. 3. Check out the amazing items you win, too. Yeah, glad I had to go through all the hoops to get there. Wouldn't have been able to find a honey syrup anywhere else in the game. Jesus Murphy.
Maybe you feel the exact opposite, that having Mario RPG's Remake redone at a 1-to-1 ratio fully engrosses you in your childhood memories, letting you enjoy the game as comfort food, nostalgia. And you could also argue that this problem doesn't apply to new players, because they weren't even born yet when the SNES game was released. That's fair, but as an old cranky gamer, this remake just reeks of cash grab money laundering. Let me know your thoughts though. I can't believe it. I cannot believe how ruthless and cruel Nintendo becomes when Mario's younger brother is involved. It's beyond reprehensible.
The original Mario RPG reduced Luigi to instruction manual exposition, this one tiny blurb of text representing his wish at Star Hill that's been slightly altered in the remake, and this embarrassing sprite in the ending. If you watched my retrospective on the SNES version, I've got evidence and suspicions that this off-screen character, who you cannot see, who has no identifiable speech cues or patterns, might be Luigi, especially since Peach just tosses her parasol at him as if he doesn't exist, which fits his character profile. But it's not proven in the least. When I shared my hopes and worries for this game, I had so much naive optimism that maybe Luigi could become a party member. He might get scared of ghosts, or be a coward and run away from things, and may share a lot of Mario's moves. But hey, it was so nice to dream.
Well, guess what? But no, actually, no, you don't have to guess at all. We've discussed at length just how much of a repeat and clone this experience is. So you know already that Luigi is not in this game.
They could have put a token conversation between him and Mario at Mario's pad in the game's prologue. Even that would have been something. Tokenism, yes, but Nintendo doesn't even do token fluff handouts, apparently. That hidden character from before that I mentioned, the one who you can't ever get a good look at because of the visual style, well, nothing was changed with the camera setup or the 3/4 perspective, so the pricks at Nintendo stuck this character, whoever the hell he is, or she is, in precisely the same spot, so we still don't know if it's Luigi. And guess what? This person contains the exact same lines of dialogue as the original, changing as you go through the story until you get to Star Hill, after which the new version, as the old one did, just keeps repeating, avoid fighting the star monsters on Star Hill, endlessly. My god! This is the epitome of what's wrong with this game. They even cut and paste a mystery character who had no explanation and gave him or her no updates, leaving 27 years worth of fans forever confused with no hope of this ever being resolved. It's complete bullcrap. But you know what's worse? They insulted Luigi even more. As if that was possible. I bought the game digitally, as I'm sure most of you did, and despite Japan paying tribute to the old game with a repurposed instruction manual, even if that is the case here too, not many people would ever see it. So he's not even part of the pre-game experience anymore.
Not only that, but Nintendo didn't even update his 5 seconds of screen time.
Yeah, no joke. The only segment of the game that wasn't updated with modern visuals, except that first Culex fight, is the first half of the credits. And you know why Nintendo did this, don't you? Because it meant they didn't have to render a 3D modern model of Luigi. What? They redid Link from Link to the Past and Samus from Super Metroid. They're just sleeping in beds. There's things that most gamers will probably not even care about or notice. But Luigi, they just throw the middle finger in his face, put him in the credits the way he was 27 years ago, and then they switch everything to look pretty and sexy after 60 seconds pass. What kind of sadists are Nintendo developers? How much can someone hate a character who has done nothing to earn the ire or contempt of anyone? Forget having him as a playable party member, or even hanging out on the sidelines, which would have been more than acceptable for me. No, let's subject Luigi to 16-bit sprite hell and force him to watch as the rest of the world he should be inhabiting gets new life breathed into it. This is like the epitome of negative reinforcement, ridicule, apathy, and abandonment, all rolled into one, and Nintendo should be ashamed for how irrelevant they made Mario's faithful sidekick and brother. There's a lot wrong with Mario RPG's remake, an astonishing amount. Flaws are embedded within game design, code, restrictive thought processes, etc., but those aren't on a personal level. Luigi is a character who has fans. He is a lot more popular today than he was in 1996, and for Nintendo to be this lazy as to not give him even a minuscule role in the story, much less a full-fledged party member, is pathetic. In a world with more ingenuity and passion, Nintendo would have had a new Game Plus option that starred Luigi, like New Luigi Brothers U. Imagine the hilarity that could have ensued with the different conversations. How awkward would it be as Peach and Luigi interact during the wedding scene? What about when they meet Gaz and he's so pumped to be playing as the Mario doll? Then Luigi comes in and he's like, whoa, is it? No, it's just Luigi. Mom's over there if you need to book a room. Please go away. So much wasted potential. Luigi isn't the only casualty when it comes to this remade game. Fan favorite characters have nothing substantial added to them. Who is this higher authority that Geno serves? Wouldn't it be cool to see what his culture or living situation is? High above the sky? He isn't given any more details about his purpose, his people, or his fate afterwards. Well, no, we know his fate afterwards. He still sacrifices himself at the game's ending. ending because the game's developers still don't know how to goddamn spell the word end. So he ends it all just to create this D. Mallow's family situation and foster upbringing are fully explored, and we already know enough about Bowser, Mario, and Peach, so why not spend a bit more time on Geno? Nah, that would require some more thought, right? Who wants to build on a fan favorite? No one cares, right? Caring, who does that? The villains, too. No one knows how or why this random sword just crashes through the Star Road. How did Smithy come across Mario's universe? Nintendo's answer? And Nintendo's answer to a lot? Who knows? Who cares?
That's the key here. This game is a bottomless pit of wasted potential, but Luigi, or the lack of him, just describes how lazy Nintendo's approach was when they thought, oh, let's do the Mario RPG game again. I'm an optimist by nature. I generally try to find more to like with video games than dislike.
And I try to recognize quality segments or look deeper into certain elements to gain a sense of understanding for what the developers were trying to do. That's part of why the channel is called Gaming Introspection. I want to take a good long look and put myself in the developer's shoes.
But this, I just can't recommend it. That is, if you've played the game before. Have you played Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo? Then you could safely pass over this, and you honestly will not miss out on anything besides higher quality visuals, audio, and I guess 2 hours of additional post-game content.
Which is simply 7 revisited bosses that are challenging, but nothing you can't handle after realizing the one strategy that you then repeat over and over. Just attack Booster so he can't build his toy train, attack the Bob-Bombs so they explode Punchinello, equip the Lazy Shell on Mario so he withstands Johnny's attacks, or simply be good at timing your defense moves. Just keep pelting Jinx with timed attacks and you'll build up your party move, which ends the fight instantly. Have Peach to protect your party against status spells from the cake, have the other 2 attack, and you'll never have to endure that one-hit KO celebration attack. I should not have an RPG beaten in just over 20 hours. And I bet a lot of you beat this game in half of that time. Those 20 hours included me typing a bunch of notes, time codes, tons of extra non-gaming activities. And yet, even with the post-game content, it barely took me longer to beat this than Mario Wonder. And that game is a quick burst of energy 2D platformer. My god!
A remake should be more than nostalgia. It should enhance everything.
Remix some parts to keep it fresh and make it beloved by both veterans and newcomers. Now, having said that, if you've never played Mario RPG before, lots of my criticisms are completely invalid, especially the ones about the writing. This is the best version of the game, so buy it if you haven't yet. However, the freebies, the easy Yoshi experience boost, the general lack of challenge might make this a purchase that leaves new fans unsatisfied as well.
But please, gamers, let me know. What hits did I miss? And what misses should I have hit? Let me know in the comments, and tune in next time at Gaming Introspection. Happy holidays, gamers, and may you and yours have health, happiness, and heaps of fun playing all of your favorite games. It's always great to see ya. Take care.